Hello viewers, welcome to another exciting and motivational video. Titled Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, a detailed summary. Let me begin with a simple question. Imagine what would happen if you decided to quit working. How long can you make it on the money you still have? Guess what? The question I just asked is the definition of wealth. The lessons you will learn in this video are potentially life-changing. I encourage you to watch this video right to the end to ensure you have the fullest understanding of the psychology of money as expounded by Robert Kiyosaki in his amazing book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I also suggest you get a notepad and pen in case you needed to jot down some important points for reference. Welcome to Achiever's Lane, where future achievers find inspiration. Please subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Robert Kiyosaki is an American investor, businessman, author, motivational speaker and financial commentator who became well known in the recent years. He has an estimated net worth of $80 million. It would surprise you to learn that he did not come from an affluent family. His family actually lacked the best financial education and frequently struggled with money, much like the majority of individuals do. So how did Robert end up wealthy? Take a look at what he says in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of his best-selling books. Robert Kiyosaki was born in Hilo, Hawaii, in April 1947. Since his town had many doctors, business owners, and bankers, little Robert, then 9 years old, attended the same public school where the wealthy family sent their children in 1957. Robert noticed that the rich kids would distance themselves from him because his family couldn't afford the newest collections of toys and bikes like them. Robert eventually asked his father, who had a PhD and had graduated from numerous universities with honors, "Please, Dad, tell me how to get wealthy." Unfortunately, despite being wealthy himself, his father didn't know the correct response. So he replied, "Use your common sense, son. Stay in school. Get good marks so that you may get a safe and secure career." He would be referred to as Poor Dad because of this. He was making a lot of money and was influential in his day, but ultimately, this man's financial situation deteriorated. Little Robert now hangs out with Mike, whose father is referred to as a rich dad who began teaching Robert and Mike how to actually become wealthy. Rich Dad wasn't particularly wealthy at the time, but he soon rose to become one of Hawaii's richest men. So what does Robert's Rich Dad teach the Rich Dad? Poor Dad didn't have a solid financial base to instill many crucial values in these kids' brains. To begin with, you must understand the distinction between an asset and a liability as well as the necessity of purchasing assets if you desire wealth. The main cause of financial hardship is simply not understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. You typically see the rich acquiring assets and the poor and middle class acquiring liabilities, albeit occasionally they mistake them for assets. Ah, I see. Do you even understand what an asset or liability is? The money on your income statement is money that you are receiving. Expenses represent money that leaves your wallet. These include things like rent, food, energy, and clothing. An asset is something that its owner can use to make money. A liability, on the other hand, results in expense. Let's try the cash flow pattern of a typical person as an example. This individual's expenses include items like food, clothing, entertainment, and transportation. He receives his income through a job. Unfortunately, he has no assets, but he does have liabilities, such as mortgages, taxes, credit card debt, loans, and, believe it or not, a house, which constantly take money out of his pocket. Let's look at how the cash flow pattern really works for the rich. Rich people purchase and own assets that generate passive income instead on counting on their salaries from their regular jobs. Something that generates income without requiring you to exchange your time for it is called passive income. In other words, even as you slept, you would be making money. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, rental property that generates income, royalties, notes, and other items with value that generate income are examples of assets. Businesses that don't require your presence are another. As was previously noted, Poor Dad was earning a respectable income from his employment, but he was never able to invest because his expenses always seemed to exceed his earnings. Due to the fact that his income was equal to his expenses and his assets were smaller than his liabilities, such as his mortgages and credit card debt, increased over time. And regrettably, it was because of this that poor dad continued to accumulate debt after he passed away. The personal financial statement of rich dad shows the outcome of a life spent investing and reducing liabilities. He therefore makes more money than he spends because his assets are worth more than his liabilities. The rich are essentially getting richer for this reason. Their assets produce more revenue than they need to pay their bills, with the remaining money being reinvested into the asset column. The income increases as the asset column does, and vice versa. You see, both dads put in a lot of effort, but they have different attitudes and viewpoints. Both of my dads advised me to work hard in my studies in order to find a good company to work for and a decent job to buy a house. One dad said the reason I'm not rich is because I have kids. The other said the reason I must be rich is because I have you kids. One advised playing it safe and avoiding risks when it comes to money. The other advised learning risk management. One said I can't afford that. The other said how can I afford that? Although both individuals had a great respect for education and learning, they disagreed on what they believed was crucial to learn. Robert discovered from his wealthy father that most people's lives are controlled by two emotions, fear and greed, which keep them trapped in a never-ending cycle of get up, head to work, buy fancy stuff and take care of your debts. You want more things, so you work harder to get a promotion. Then the pattern is set and you're stuck in it. You get up. You go to work, you come home. And you pay your bills. Your increased earning leads to increased spending. This is commonly referred to as the rat race. Once you get trapped in this, you are doomed to work for someone else for the rest of your life. Rather than confronting the anxiety, most people are as trapped by fear into working day in and day out. They live from paycheck to paycheck. Another reason why people work for pay is greed. They want money because they believe it will bring them happiness. However, the happiness that money offers is frequently fleeting and soon necessitates more money for more happiness, greater pleasure, greater comfort, and greater security. Many people's obsession with going to school in order to increase their chances of landing a well-paying job stems from a combination of fear and desire. Please don't get me wrong. Education and a career are definitely important, but should be considered as a means to financial independence, not as an end in themselves. Instead of being terrified of money, you should learn its power. Unfortunately, despite its crucial importance, financial literacy is widely neglected in our school curriculum. And if you don't learn it, money will make you its slave. Lack of knowledge about money can result in extreme greed and fear, which can drag you into life's largest trap of non-stop effort. This never-ending cycle of working and never having anything to show for it, frequently referred to as modern-day slavery. Rich Dad advised learning to think with your emotions rather than acting on them. I need to find a new career is an example of emotional thinking. Or I ought to compete. Instead of thinking carefully like, is there something I'm missing here? I want this job because it is stable. Most people wrongfully believe your career determines their income. For the wealthy, your assets determine your income. For watching this far into the video, I'll now reward you with a special bonus. This consists of 4 big takeaways from the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Lesson 1. Rich people buy assets while poor people buy liabilities. Lesson 2. The poor and middle class work for money. The rich make their money work for them. While poor people see a job as an end in itself, rich people see it just a short-term solution, getting enough to pay expenses to the long-term challenge of building their net worth. While poor people look for security, rich people look for opportunity. Lesson 3. Your salary or what you earn is not the most important factor in you becoming rich. Rather, financial independence is a function how much money you invest out of your earnings and for how long. Lesson 4. The true definition of wealth is this: for how long can you survive if you stop working today? The above are the biggest differences between rich people and poor people. It's all in the mind. Thank you, guys, for watching. If you'd like to see more informative videos like this, click the like and subscribe buttons. Later, I'll see you guys.